16th, 2023, 9 a.m. And the Baker County Board of Commissioners is now in session. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for being here with us today. As I always ask, guide our words, our thoughts, and our actions as we lead these people. Thank you for the blessings you brought to us. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda changes, adoptions, deletions, what do we got?
I believe we're going to remove the financial reports from ratification documents.
Is that because there's a bunch of them sitting on my desk that I haven't signed yet?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, we'll do that next time. Sorry, everybody.
No other changes?
There were, what else did we amended the,
Yeah, this is the latest amendment.
but this is, yeah, so. All right. All right, citizen participation, and this is for anything that's not on the agenda. Anyone online for citizen participation? All right. No minutes, correct?
Right here.
This is going really good so far. All right, on to scheduled business. Department update, Justice Court, Jennifer Salver. Thank you. Do you want to sit over here or stand at the, it's this?
I guess they might be. Okay. So I'll just briefly go over this before I get into it, but this kind of goes over each fiscal year. It's the second page, kind of dating from back from 2027 to this last fiscal year. The next ones are just how much we've been given the Baker County, Baker City, and state for the last few years. More financial summaries, and then I'll talk about this long page at the end, so you kind of have more information on that. So traffic filings, Oregon State Police normally files 75% of these cases. The cities seems like it has been going up though, so that number could have gone down a bit. Back when COVID was around, a lot of the laws changed with the citations, a lot of dismissals with certain things. So a few months there, we did have low citations, or we had to dismiss a lot of citations. But currently this year, or this last fiscal year, we increased to 2,046 traffic citations from 1,444. So it's 2,046, and last year was 1,444. So we've had a pretty good increase. In addition, the judge has been lowering some fines and dismissing tickets based on defendants. I know a lot of people, even now after COVID, are having a lot of problems with the inflation and things like that. So we're trying to be accommodating. And I'll get to it. He does have this program from 2019 that I'll kind of explain later, but he's pretty much erased $124,261 of defendant's debt. and I'll get into that a little bit later. So on October 1st of 2020, there was a House Bill 4210 that doesn't allow the court to suspend licenses if the defendant is willing to pay. We can still suspend for failure to appears. So if nobody appears in court, we can still suspend their fine. But if they come to court and say they're going to pay or make a payment, then we have to reinstate them, or if they're suspended, or, I mean, obviously, if they come, they're not going to get suspended. So
Excuse me, you're doing quite a few like hardship. So if someone's license is suspended, then if they can still drive to work and back, is that correct?
yes, so we currently don't do the hardships, but the DMV, so we
Oh,
kind of,
they-
yeah, we direct them to go the DMV, because you can apply through the DMV for a hardship to go to work. And
Okay,
I think it's like, depending on your work, you can only drive certain hours. So if you're outside those hours and you're seen driving, then you could get pulled over, and you get pulled over, you could still be in trouble for.
okay.
So we do misdemeanor crimes. Most of these are filed by the city, just locally. The city is more on top of what goes on in the city. There has been a little bit of a decrease. The last fiscal year is 140 cases we had, and now we only have 114. But it's not a huge drop. So, but we're pretty, the DA and up there is pretty good about charging up citations pretty quickly. He's been a really good lawyer, and also our court-appointed attorney has been a good asset as well. And that's the agreement you'll be signing after I talk about the update. For the violation filings, we mostly, those are the dog hearings, city ordinances, failure to supervise, fish and game, and MIPs. And there has also been an increase there from to 257 from last year of 145. So it looks like we're on the rise again with tickets. So in all around pretty much. Okay, FEDs. So there's the House Bill 2001B. Pretty much changed a lot of with like failure to pay rent. So starting with this bill, starting July 1st, we have to take different measures, and they're a little bit more stricter now with these FEDs. Obviously, if the lawyer does not follow, or the landlord does not follow each and every step perfectly right, it can get thrown out. And also the time we have to set it, before it used to be 7 to 14 days. Now we have to set it out between 15 and 30.
Right. Okay.
And then even after that first appearance for their next one, that is also 15 to 30. So landlords are having to wait almost a month possibly to get someone evicted, but
If they don't go through the process correctly, then they have to start over.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see, with the funding, so our last fiscal year, our revenue has been up 25,000 roughly, a little bit more than that. In theory, I think this is because of we became a violation bureau back in August 31st of 2022. And this just allows both me and my coworker to kind of use our own judgments when letters come in and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're a defendant, the full benefit would obviously be to come to court. The judge does give a dramatic deduction. And then with letters, we kind of give a little bit of a minor deduction, not as drastic. And I think that possibly helped with that increase in revenue.
sure. Okay.
So let's see. But there are certain things we don't have authority over. So like people driving over 100 miles per hour, misdemeanor offenses, any person charged with an offense involving an accident or involving use of a controlled substance. So those are ones we have the judge kind of handle those, but
Oh, okay.
more like almost traffic stuff that comes in the mail, like we kind of handle ourselves.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So
So basically, you're saying that you're harder than the judge, right?
yeah, we are a little
I
bit.
thought that was what you were trying to say.
Yeah,
in a
well,
nice
so
way.
like if there's a $440 fine, the judge drops it down to $225 almost automatically. We mostly will be like, oh, well, we'll just take 100 off, because we feel like the people that actually take the time to come into court, like, I mean, you're taking time out of your busy day to come. A letter takes like maybe 2 minutes to write. Some of them are just like 2 sentences. So, I mean, it's just kind of like how we gauge. And it just depends on that defendant's needs as well, depending on what the letter they write as well. So, but we kind of have the power to decide how much to take off and all that. So,
Okay.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
oh, no. it's fine.
Actually, I did, but that's okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of like future plans. So in the future, my coworker does want to go to part-time. She's planning on maybe having another child, and so she wants to do that. I would like to go back to how we were originally before when COVID hit. So we took that cut to help out the county because they were having cutbacks. And with the decrease in citations, we were saying, oh, well, we'll just have the 2 employees in the office. But after COVID and with the new increase in citations, obviously, if my coworker does go to part-time, we'll probably need another full-time person in there. It also helps with like vacations and sick times, like having to plan that has been a little difficult sometimes so having just a 3rd person in there would be very helpful. We're not there quite yet, but I know with the increase in citations and when she does decide, we'll talk about it at that point.
So you want 2 FTEs and 1 half?
Huh?
You want 2 full-time and 1 half?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially what we're gaining is, she'll be going to that part-time position. And so then it'll just be 1 full-time.
Okay.
So, let's see. So this is the sheet I was talking about with the judges. This is his program hearing where he has erased 124,000 roughly. We have like the name of the defendant, all their docket numbers. They're not all listed here, but the amount they have paid with our court, and then the amount erased from our court, when they appeared in our court, what their original balance was, and then a couple like notes on them. So a lot of these are mostly, we want to reward the ones that have been paying consistently. So if they've been consistently paying for 3 years and they have still a lot of debt and they're still struggling, we'll help them out.
Okay.
We did have one that one of the stories is one of our defendants was in jail, but his dad was helping make payments for him. And then he got out and was trying to make his life better. And so we were like, oh, well, we'll help you out and erase that debt you have with us. So.
Okay.
But those are a couple examples. But yeah,
I know one of the names on that list, and they're doing really well.
yeah.
It's good to see a turnaround like that.
Some of them, we give them the option and they make one payment, but then they stop and like we, we gave you that opportunity and yeah, but
Okay.
there have been a few like that, but if most people that are really wanting help, they follow through. So
Good, that's good to hear.
any questions?
You have any questions? Well, do you want to hang out?
I guess the next, or the court-appointed attorney, I don't know if you needed me here for that or
Well, I don't have,
the agreement.
Heidi, you could kind of just explain what it is, so.
Okay,
But we've got to go into.
I will now open contract review board. And next up is Justice Court Professional Service Agreement with J. Logan Joseph for indigent defense services. So just give us a quick overview on that.
it's just, so we pay him 30,000. It's kind of a flat yearly thing. I mean, if he gets paid twice a month or whatever, just like the rest of us, but I can't remember how many cases, 250 maybe? I think it's set on the, I didn't bring it with me.
Not exceeding 120.
Oh, yeah, 120. Normally, we don't go over that, or if we do, he gets so many from us, maybe he doesn't bill us for the 100 or per case after, but yeah, this is mostly just a yearly contract we have with him. He's out of LeGrand.
Just the same amount as last year?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So
So, yeah, no
So
increase.
for your court appointed
Right.
attorney.
this
Yeah.
is a standard agreement that we do every year.
Yep, and he normally just comes twice a month on the first and second Wednesday of the month.
Oh, did you need that? Because we all do.
Well, that's fine.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
yours.
I mean,
Sorry.
I don't know.
Mine's punched.
To be fair, it does have 30,
It does.
so. We ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the court-appointed attorney agreement for Justice Court for Logan Joseph for $30,000 per year for cases, 120 cases per year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anything online? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Road Department, snow plow wing purchase approval.
Morning, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
So throughout this last year, then we upgraded a couple graders, got some cat graders. So we need to purchase a couple wings to put on those graders from Western States. We're buying these through a Sourcewell contract, which does save us about, well, almost 10 grand.
All right.
Can't take any off the old ones.
No, because they were John Deere's. They don't fit.
Well, good. Now we have some more spare parts for the John Deere.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is that one wing per, or is that two?
yeah, it's one wing
It's
per
one wing per-
grader. Yeah.
I did look over this ahead of time. So.
So I'll make a motion. We approve the purchase of the cat snow wings from Western States Equipment for $55,464.90.
Second?
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I should say, I guess we bought them the graders. We better get them the stuff to use them.
Well, they were kind of warning us about this
That's true.
sessions ago.
They
so-
were fair about it. so.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you guys.
Did you start the IGA with Greenhorn? Did you mark
That
that?
I don't have a clue. That's a noodle
okay.
question.
That's a noodle question?
Yep, yep.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Emergency Management, Medical Reserve Corps. How are you guys today? Busy, but good.
The emergency this morning?
A little bit.
A little bit.
So back when we came and did our department update, Joe briefed you on what's called the MRC Strong Grant.
Yeah.
And what they did for this Strong Grant, I think we did get one before prior to you. It was a smaller grant, but they were allowing each state to be awarded basically one. So instead of everybody fighting for that, the state said, okay, why don't we all put it together, put in for one, and the max amount for the state was $2.5 million for that, for all the MRCs inside the state. And so what we looked at doing was getting a portion of that for the MRC coordinator, which Joe is, and then we were the only MRC in the state to have a response trailer. And so with the previous grant, we added an additional response trailer because we cover kind of the 10 counties, the eastern counties.
All right.
And so for that trailer from here to respond anywhere, it's ours.
Yeah.
And so Joe's developing a county captain program so that each county has a captain there or somebody that's familiar with that trailer to be able to take it, go set up, should that need arise, and be a much faster response than us getting all mowed and ready to go. So with that grant, then we would like to try and add, depending on the way prices are, 4 additional trailers to station throughout the region. And they'd all be equipped the same we've got tents on there. So to set up like the drive-throughs like we did, the points of distribution for the COVID events. And it just gives kind of sheltering options for all of that. They have generators on them, they have PPE on them. But anyways, that way it's all contained and ready to go. So,
Does the grant allow for the equipment to go in them? Okay.
yeah, yep.
I like
Yeah, it's
that.
pretty much fully outfitted trailers with
Nice.
this grant. And that's where right now we put in for 4, but prices keep going
Oh,
up
right.
right now. So we may have to drop back down to 3, but then we'll get those stationed throughout.
Good.
There's a no match requirement for that. And then, like I said, as far as the state kind of supported the whole project and all the MRCs with that.
Nice. So for 174.
Yeah.
And you would spread those trailers out throughout the counties?
Yep.
So that would give you 6 total? If you would give those 4?
Yep.
Okay. 6 out of 10.
Is
so-
it throughout the county or
Or
throughout?
throughout the counties,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
10
thought.
counties.
Yeah.
10
that we-
counties,
The Eastern
6 out
Oregon
of
Regional
10.
Medical Reserve Board.
Right.
right, right. No, that's great. Do you have those people in place for each county?
No,
currently working on that right now.
yeah, so it's been a little bit of a struggle after kind of coming back from COVID. I think, you know, like that pushed a lot of people to that point of, I need a little bit of a break. So we did have a training recently and we did get some people to come out to the training, but you know, when we send something out, the response rate back has been very slow. So hopefully by getting these trailers, doing those exercises in each county, that type of stuff will start to get more people coming and find those that want to be in that leadership position.
You're trying to do the emergency management in each. other counties, or-
That and the public health side.
And the public
Yeah,
health side.
yeah.
Okay.
So originally when this MRC was formed, it was under the Public Health Department in Morrow County.
Oh, okay.
And then they were looking for somebody, and Baker County has been one of the biggest advocates and users for exercises of the MRCs. That's where we saw the value in trying to make sure that kept moving forward. And so that's where it fell under EM at that time.
Okay.
Just because I thought I'd probably keep it so much.
Right.
Jason, Can you tell me what federal agency has the initials ASPR? Okay, I was just curious of what agency that was. I have never heard that one before
Oh, I see it.
that I recall anyway. So this grant is federal money, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be included in our audit report, which is okay.
Nice that there's no matching. funds.
Yeah.
Very nice
Needed.
for that,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't really care what the acronym is, but,
I'll still find it.
well, I can look in the catalog and find it, but I'm just
You have
curious
one?
if you,
You have one?
sure, you can get it online,
I need one.
get it online.
What is it?
Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance, or,
Oh.
yeah, not domestic, but catalog of federal, I don't know,
You have to
something,
look it up.
yeah. It's federal
The
money, that's all it
CFTC.
is. Yeah,
Okay, anyway.
stop. Yeah. I can't remember. Years ago, I could recall what that was. but I can't remember.
Yeah,
So I'll make a motion if you're. gonna
I'm
ask
ready.
for
for-
it,
Yeah, yeah, I'm good.
That we approve the MRC Strong grant for emergency management in the amount of $574,615 with no matching funds needed.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anything online? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
is there enough people for the TEXT
Yes.
training next week?
Yeah,
You got it, Meredith? Okay,
But we'll try and keep adding to that number. I'd
Okay.
like to try and get as many of the small cities involved as I can.
oh, sure.
I did during the 17th when we had the thunderstorms and stuff.
Mhm.
Did go out to the Huntington areas, there's a storm they're tied into them. And they were very interested, but I
Okay.
haven't seen them sign up yet.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that was a pretty easy sign up, so. We'll see you then.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
All right, fair insulation bid approval.
That's Angela.
Okay.
Installation bid approval.
Yep.
They had you on the agenda, Angela.
How are you?
I'm well.
So tell us what you got going on.
This is one of the first projects that the Fair Board Fairgrounds has slated to be constructed in the next couple, 3 years. And this has been on the long-term planning for the Fair Board for long-term.
Okay,
And now there's enough money to do it. So we solicited and you have the bid results. Want to get approval and talking with Kim Mosher, the contract, which is our standard contract that we've used for years, plus general conditions, is what would be signed for contract. And she said that the Fair Board Director, Ron Rowan, could sign that contract.
okay.
So I just want to make sure that we're not overstepping something there.
No, I don't think, as long as we approve it.
So-
then I think,
These are the numbers. And we're looking for approval.
okay,
And this is coming out of your grant funding. This
Yes.
is the start of using that.
This is this was identified as the grant funding
Okay.
requests.
Where is Desert Sage Wall Systems out of?
All four of those identified are out of Idaho.
okay.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah, the only other truly commercial EFS is known as EFS is in Tri-Cities.
Okay,
I mean, you gotta go the other way.
right.
And
Sure.
Viking Fire Protection, where are they out of?
Napa.
Okay.
Colorado.
Okay,
That's because we lost Western Automatic Sprinkler in the grant a few years ago because John Schwindeman retired. We really don't have one. Everybody's retiring at the same time. So
Oh, the general fire
General Fire, Doug Hicks is no longer doing
no longer
it.
doing
Oh,
I
I-
called him, and he said no.
I was wondering, I hadn't seen his trucks running around. Okay.
So it's, and Viking's familiar with the building. They've worked there before. They service the needs at the fairgrounds.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
So Mark, since,
I'm sorry. I
one
didn't know
second, 1 second. This is just essentially approval of the project bid budget, and you got a 5% contingency in there. And so if he doesn't need that, the amount can actually be lower then, right?
Well, the contract would be written for the.
For the full
numbers-
amount.
For the
Right,
numbers in the upper portion of that box.
right, okay.
To the three providers.
46,825.
Yeah, less 500. Well, the 500 part of that will be spent for building permit and dumpsters and everything else. But yeah, that 46,825 is what would be contracted.
Okay, but the contingency amount,
That, all that is,
That
that's
doesn't
not for
really
you
matter,
to
right?
approve necessarily. That's our planning. It makes
Okay.
sense to always have contingency on a construction project, especially a remodel. I
Okay.
don't know what you might find. But 5% certainly should be adequate in this case.
So then, do we approve for the 49?
I think that's what we should be doing, yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, if you don't, if you're gonna pay the
Well, you
contractor,
approved the 49, that's fine too.
well, that's what's on the front.
That is not what's on the front. what
And
was
that's a
presented.
budget amount,
That's the
and
49,
Oh,
46,
okay, I didn't print that.
Yeah.
Not the 46.
I didn't print that.
I understand, because I didn't realize this was on the back either until
Oh,
I saw
okay.
somebody else flip it over, so.
Really, the approval should be the 46,825. Not It's contingency is just, we may be 5.5 contingent. I want to come back for, over.
Well, you wouldn't have to because it'd be less than 5,000 if it was a difference.
I think it would be better to just go ahead and authorize
Yep.
up to the 49.
That's
The
what I,
49 ones.
that's what I was thinking too, and it can be less than that,
Yeah.
Well, I know.
and it could be a little more than that too,
Okay.
so, yeah,
Okay. I heard that.
okay. I know you know that too,
I
so,
do know that.
okay, now I'm okay with,
I'll make a motion to approve the EFS project, EFS project bid for Baker County Fairgrounds Event Center installation with Desert Sage Wall Systems and others listed for a total of 49,166.
second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have one. And on that, can you piggyback authorizing Ron Road to sign contracts?
And also, I mean, if you guys are going to do that, also have, once signed, have it come back for ratification. So that way it gets built into our court work. to be
Well, okay, so
recorded.
that's another 2 weeks, right?
Well, you can authorize it if they approve him to authorize or sign out of session and then it's signed, it would just come back for ratification. So then it gets put in with our court work so we can keep track of that stuff.
That's a separate motion.
It would be.
It wouldn't, it would be approved.
We are okay to proceed.
You would go,
You
you
would
would
be
go
able to
forward.
proceed.
Okay, as long as
Yeah.
we can proceed, that's fine. If
Right.
It's just a ratification. I'm fine with that too.
It would be a separate deal though. You're
Yeah,
correct.
it's a separate motion.
So we're okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Anybody online? All right, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Do you want to make the second motion for to allow?
We don't need one right now, do we? We need
I
it
would
later.
make
I
another
would.
motion to authorize.
Oh, authorize,
Bill
okay,
to sign
yeah.
out of session and then bring it back for ratification.
yeah, go ahead and then I'll second that one.
I'll make a motion for Ron Rowan to sign the contract, to authorize the contract,
Authorize. him
sign the
it out
contract,
of
to
session.
authorize him to sign the contract for the EFS project bid,
Yeah.
right?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
No,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to come back. This is a joke. I would say you might want to come back and see that we ratify his signature.
I'll come back for that.
Okay,
Thank you.
I mean, you can stick around. We are entertaining. Hey, thank you. All right, juvenile Canyon County Detention Agreement. Let's see. Like Stacy's here. So well, I don't think so. Do you remember during the winter,
Mhm.
they made a kind of a tentative agreement with
Yes.
Canyon County because they're closer and it also gave them, they didn't have to drive.
Flexibility,
Right, they could go up, up or down I-84
right.
if they had to. The background information is, we have previously signed a contract to use Canyon County, Idaho Juvenile Detention Facility. This new contract is for this current fiscal year and reflects the rate increase from $210 a day to $220 a day. So that's, in a nutshell, that line is what we're doing here.
Is the increase of $10 a day?
$10 a day and renewing the contract for the fiscal year. I think we'll have to do this yearly. Is that correct?
It sounds like it, if there's going to be changes. Definitely. And Stacy let me know, and she also put it in her staff report that she wasn't going to be here. She had a conference or something she had to be at. So. but
Basically,
it-
the other facility is full, right? And that's why we have to use Canyon County.
Well, and
Or-
some
and
of
the
it
travel.
was the travel
Yeah.
with the road closures and
Right.
whatnot. So,
Like right now.
yeah.
Oh,
So
correct.
there's, so it's just increasing $10 a day. It sounds like they've budgeted for that. She put that under the financial section here. An additional 12,000 to offset that cost.
She has that within her budget to that
Yes.
offset.
Yeah.
Did you say yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we increased her budget by 12,000 to cover
Okay.
those extra costs. Hopefully that'll be enough.
Yeah, summer's almost over. Hopefully that drops down. Get back to school.
I believe this is year to year.
It is.
Okay. Ready for a motion?
Yes. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the detention agreement for juvenile with Canyon County, Idaho Juvenile Detention Facility for $220 per day. Was about it.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That is me. So on. When was I out there?
July 20th.
July 20th. I was at, no. So I can't remember what date I was out. I went up to,
10th day of August.
yeah,
On the second
That's
page,
right.
it says 10th
Yeah.
day of August. On the top of the second page.
I thought I'd seen a typo here. So yeah, I went out and I guess I should, the Transient Lodging Tax Committee met on July 20, 2023 and voted to amend the IGA with the city of Halfway and Baker City or Baker County relating to the use of TLT funds. The amendment adds 2 conditions to number 2 city responsibility items, B and C, related to reporting the TLTC on an annual basis. I went out and met with the city council, I believe on the 10th. And
That's what it
they,
says.
yep, yeah. And they looked it over and agreed to sign it that day, so I brought it back. So if we agree to it, it'll be a done deal. And they've had this in place for several years. This is just bringing it up to date.
Paying the city of Halfway $3,000,
Yeah.
one at half in January, half in July.
Mhm.
Do we do that with other cities within the county?
They haven't. I am not sure. I don't believe that we do.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do we have a similar agreement with any of the other municipalities in the county?
No, I don't believe we do,
Okay.
but this one's been in place for quite a long time.
Generally, if the city asks for something, you usually give it to them. Because they're generating the money there, and so. Yeah, but they are benefiting from the other funds as well, just because it's countywide type stuff.
I think maybe next year, and I told them in the session, that they could, always ask for this to be amended. They may come to transient lodging tax and ask for some additional money to add in more like information kiosk and build up their little travel information area out there. So
But the county owns that. Did you know that? The Halfway kiosk before you get into Halfway, the Hells Canyon Byway kiosk. Are you
that
talking the kiosk in town?
in town,
Okay.
where the restrooms are.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And those are being redone. So do they have to report exactly what they use that 3,000 for?
Mhm.
They have to go back and report.
Yeah.
That they're using it for tourist related.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, and also this will ask them to have a count of all of the providers out there, all of the Airbnbs, lodge, hotels, all of that.
So what does it do with them, for them? They can use it or?
No, it changes part of the agreement so that they report back the number
Oh,
of,
okay.
let's see how it's. Provide the Baker County Transient Lodging Committee an annual report at the beginning of each fiscal year, so of how funding was
Okay.
expended in the previous 12 months. Provide the Baker County Transient Lodging Committee with an annual listing at the beginning of each fiscal year of lodging establishments operating in
Oh,
Halfway.
okay,
area.
okay, just so we know. who has.
Halfway was doing a good job anyway of tracking down the Airbnbs,
Yes, yes.
because they were a problem for a while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that that's better now as far as.
Got phone calls
Uh-huh.
many times from Halfway. Can you help us do this? I said,
Sure.
Just do it and we'll help you out. Yeah. So,
You guys ready for a motion?
yes,
I'll make a motion to accept the amendment to the IGA transient lodging tax commit, from the transient lodging tax committee for the IGA related to TLT funds with the city of Halfway.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments?
Yes, since you made the agreement, we could decide that you just pay him the money out of your own pocket. You go along with that.
No?
But then we're gonna come back and ask for more.
That's big too. Anyway, call for the vote.
I just figured you had, do you have anything else? Okay, seeing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Don't say I didn't try.
All right, Sage Grouse LIT Carcass Disposal Station.
You are busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Busy. Okay. So this is gonna be kind of a two-part thing. So I'm bringing forth a grant agreement for, well, the Baker LIT submitted a grant to OWEB for the construction of a carcass disposal station. This has been a multi-year ongoing planning, developing project with, in collaboration with Baker Sanitary Services. The carcass disposal station will be constructed at the landfill. Christina's very well aware of this project, but I'll give you a little background. This project was developed to kind of give people, livestock producers and the general public a place to sustainably dispose of carcasses, with the thought that this will reduce raven subsidies, mainly carcasses, foods, and sage-grouse habitat. So this combined with a bunch of outreach, that's the first objective of this grant. The second objective of this grant is to, and none of the funds from this grant are going towards it except for match funds. It's to develop a potential pickup program for livestock producers to bring carcasses to the landfill. Because we'll have this disposal station, but then, you know, there's the fact of getting the carcasses from the land to the landfill. So we're working on that. We have some good prospects. We're gonna have a big meeting in a few weeks now. Yeah. The one thing about this is that we were trying to get a lease agreement, quote unquote, and an intergovernmental agreement between Baker Sanitary Services and the county. Because Baker County would be fronting or, you know, funding the cost for the carcass disposal station. While the grant is open, Baker County would own the carcass disposal station. But then when the grant's complete, this lease agreement and intergovernmental agreement would basically say that once the grant is closed, ownership would transfer back to Baker Sanitary Services. I have a meeting with Kim right after this to get that squared away. She needs a little bit more information from me. That being said, if we get this grant agreement signed, that would really help us out a lot, and we would not put any work on the ground until that lease agreement is signed.
Okay.
I also have an email from Stephen, if that helps, from Baker Sanitary Services, says yes, we'll sign the lease agreement, yes.
Okay.
It's more of a timing thing. I wish we had the lease agreement for you guys to look at before this.
Kind of the same, almost the same one as it was here before, I think, that we looked at, right? Other than there was some things that we kind of postponed just because we didn't have it solidified with
Right.
Baker Sanitary.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think there was somebody suggesting we were paying for it, plus they were going to charge for dropping it off to or something like that, a carcass.
Oh, yeah, that's for the pickup program, but that's not funded by this grant.
Okay,
That's gonna be, we're kind of working with the Wolf Commission. I'm gonna apply for a Roundhouse Foundation grant, that type of thing for the pickup program.
it'd be very beneficial to get the carcasses in one location instead of,
Yeah,
Everywhere.
and this type of program has been implemented. Well, Prairie City has a compost site for carcasses that we're modeling basically the construction off of. And then the pickup program has been done in, that I know of, 3 different places in Montana. I come from Montana. And they've had success, multi-year, decadal success with that type of pickup program. So we just got to figure out how to make it work for Baker in our landscape.
This is just securing the OWEB grant.
Sorry?
This is just securing the OWEB grant.
Yeah, this
Right
is
now.
just
Okay.
securing,
Move us
and
forward.
yeah, and this is for just, the funds in this grant is just for the construction of the,
Of the compost site.
you're waiting on
Do
me?
you have any other?
No, I don't. I was
Okay.
just reading more stuff, but that's okay.
Well, I wanted to give you one thing.
No, I'm fine.
We ready for a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the OWEB grant agreement 222-8206-22947.
And the lease agreement with Baker County and Baker Sanitary Service for ownership of Carcass disposal station will be held by Baker County until the close of OWEB grant, upon which ownership with transfer over to Baker Sanitary Services. That makes sense.
I might have missed.
Oh, until the close of the OWEB
Yeah.
grant. Yes, okay.
Yeah, I thought I didn't include that because I thought it was just the accepting the OWEB grant agreement.
Well, I was just reading her recommended
Okay.
motion. and
I think
so-
I think that staff report hadn't been changed from, because we thought we would have the lease agreement right now, but we don't
We don't.
right now.
In other words, old stuff. So I'm reading old stuff.
Yeah, so just
So
accepting. the
scratch what I
OWEB
said then.
Just accepting the OWEB grant agreement 222-8206-22947.
Okay, I approve, or I second the motion for approving the half of the old stuff.
Grant.
Okay. Yeah. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anyone online? Look like
No.
it's- Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right,
Hmm.
next up, Health and Human Services Agreement.
I have
She's
a-
got a
I got
project
a
bid
part-
approval.
Oh, where are we? Oh, that's. Oh, I thought that was the same thing. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So the next part of this is, although we were moving forward, just to make sure everything was moving forward with the project. So we set out bid proposals for contractors for both groundwork and the laying of the asphalt pad for the compost site. And I sent this, I think you guys have the
Page.
this thing, it's the
Oh.
solicitation document. I sent out the solicitation document to 10 different contractors, I think.
I don't have it.
I don't think I, unless it's on the backside.
I think that wasn't included in the packet. I think just the grant agreement, but
Okay.
it was just the RFP that she sent out.
Okay,
I can give this one to you guys to review after if you'd like. But out of the 10 contractors, we had 2 bids for the groundwork and 1 bid for the asphalt pad. And each, it came under budget for what we were looking for. The 2 that submitted a budget were Lossell Contracting and O'Connell Excavation for the groundwork, and then Rogers Asphalt in the grant for the asphalt pad. So we would like to award a letter of intent to Rogers Asphalt for the asphalt pad because they were the only one. Their bid was at $37,336, and this includes prevailing wages for that company. And then the groundwork, we wanted to award to O'Connell Excavating. They came out at the lowest bid. He's been very helpful in the process too, so I feel pretty good about it. And his came out $48,500.
and is he Baker?
He's Baker.
Okay, and what exactly is he doing? So the asphalt will be laid and then he is, they're doing
So, no, so the process is you dig down, you lay the groundwork, which includes, I'm pretty naive to this too, which is why Richard and others contractors have been helping me. Then they lay down rock essentially.
oh, they're doing the ground, the
They're doing the
surface.
groundwork, they're digging out,
before the
laying the
asphalt.
ground, and then
Okay,
that's what they'll call it.
okay, and then this will be done and then later on the barriers come in and
Yep, and I've been in contact with who I got the barriers from, and they are repurposed barriers. Originally, GM barriers are $1,100, and we're getting them for $400.
Good. Yay. Okay, I will make a motion to approve O'Connell for the surface excavation work and Rogers Asphalt out of LeGrand for the asphalt. And total for, because I don't have the paper in front of me, the total for O'Connell
Is 48,500,
for 48,500 for O'Connell,
and then 37,336.
37,336 for Rogers Asphalt.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You have that copy of HHS.
Yeah. And then,
Okay.
did we get a new and improved?
Well, it has some edits, so we'll be asking. Session, but Kim's been reviewing it this morning. There's some minor edits to it, but generally.
Okay. And I apologize, this is coming the way that it is. Without much.
Very fast paced.
Very fast paced.
This is coming out of yesterday's meeting. The last 2 days.
The last 2 days. And then this has been in the works with Senator Wyden's office and Merkley's office. And then, of course, we were made aware of it on Monday, as it also hit the press. Do you want me to read? And like I said, so I've been scrambling around. Part of the problem was the point of contacts that they had sent me. I think they're out of the office in DC. So then I've had to, kind of go back and forth with personnel and figure out who our point of contact is going to be, and
Is
was
going to
able
be with,
with Health and Human Services.
okay,
And finally, kind of got that straightened out. Lieutenant Commander, shoot, I forget his last name. I spoke to him briefly this morning, and he sent over this agreement, and it needs to be, there's some edits. I'm comfortable with most of it, but it, needs to be changed to Baker County.
it has been. I
Okay.
see in here that
We've,
Baker County has been replaced with State of
Yeah.
Oregon, and is it Eric Butcher that you're talking about?
that's correct.
Okay, because that's listed on page 30
Okay.
of that document. Eric Butcher and Janine Riley as the second point of contact for the LCDR. And I was able to read through that paper beforehand, before the Baker County was added, and I do see that Baker County has been changed. So then this also, they're asking for 75,000 from in matching. Is this, I see some of these figures in here.
As I understand, I think that we are just paying for it. I think that because it's a short,
Services. Will you go through that financial and budgetary considerations?
yeah.
That's listed
Uh,
first page,
Yeah.
first to bottom.
On July 27th, 2023, the County Board of Commissioners allocated $350,000 of LATCF funds for nursing staff, with an additional $150,000 of LATCF to be used for extended services. This project will utilize up to $75,000 of the $150,000 that was already allocated. So,
And I think that some of the people sitting here need informed of, how this has changed from last time that we talked about just the nursing when we decided on that 350,000 to what they're providing or what is going on now to start this process, which is outlined on page 1 as well.
Yeah, I'll read this. The U.S. PHS Commission Corps will send a 3-officer team on temporary duty status to provide temporary assistance to the state of Oregon and Baker County in response to its request and to provide an assessment of the state's needs for a finite period of time. For discussion, the state of Oregon or its political subdivision is to provide full reimbursement to the Public Health Service for salaries, benefits, allowance, and travel. The length of this temporary assistance will be up to 30 days. The authority for this recommendation is 42 USC. So this will provide officers with OB experience, recommended team structure and capabilities, OBGYN doctor, labor and delivery nurse, nurse with hospital administration experience. The PHS assessment team will provide both verbal and written feedback to the county. They will participate in team planning support and tabletop exercises as required. Assist in developing clinical competencies required for the multiple disciplines required to develop and sustain operations. Support developing the operational requirements and plan includes wraparound services, logistics, administrative requirements, and other non-clinical considerations and actions. Work as part of an integrated planning team with representatives from HRSA or grantees, state health officials, and county health officials. Bring different knowledge, experience, and backgrounds combined with other federal, state, county resources will provide the community with a comprehensive action plan with short-term operational and long-term strategic objectives or milestones.
And I know that the Baker County Emergency Management and your team and the health department has done some extensive work on looking into some of this stuff and long-term goals and everything.
Right.
Will they take into consideration and use that instead of doubling up and, charging us
Absolutely.
again for that same work that's already been done, to the point that
Right.
we're at right now?
Well, and also bolstering what we've already done. So.
Just so that they don't start over. And,
Right,
they're taking that we've already, so that they don't backstep.
So Jason, I don't know, yeah, he's in the room. So he and Megan are the public health director. They are working on, they already have basically a plan in place, but they're going to formalize that, give it to this team so they can review it and see if they can identify any gaps that we may have missed. And then help us identify those and then also address the long-term, needs and provide some options there on how best to move forward with that
Right.
long-term plan.
Right, so that we're looking at a long-term plan.
In the
Yeah.
long-term plan,
So-
this will give us, well, it'll expedite basically a needs analysis.
Okay.
And that's something that we can definitely use going forward and helping emergency management and public health and all of that. We originally, had hoped for 6 nurses to give us time to implement. There's been a lot of pushback from the hospital, whether they have availability of their nurses, and, that's still a possible consideration. But first off, we need to get, I guess we're kind of loosely calling this the SWAT team to come in, hit the ground, and give us an accurate assessment of what we need. So.
Sure, I just wanted to clarify because
Right.
I know that Jason and health department and your team have done extensive work so far. So
And they have.
and I definitely wanted a long-term look at this. So
Right.
whether it's a district or however that happens.
No, the whole team has been fantastic on this. I couldn't ask for any better, dedication to the project. We started out, hoping to extend things to give us some time. That always a possibility that can still happen, but in tandem with that, emergency management and the health department and other people have been working on other options. And this will definitely help.
figure out any gaps like Heidi said.
Right, right. And you just look at this morning from 5:30
Right.
until, I don't even know if it's open now, the freeway closed, and then notice at 7:30 that the Haynes Highway was also closed. So if anybody needed to get to LeGrand, it's not a snowy day.
Right.
You know, it's just emergency. So this is so important that we have something in place.
And emergency services are tied up because of that accident.
Right,
Right.
right. And some of them up in Sumter with the fire.
Right.
So I need some assurances here. for this thing.
Which page?
Under the page 2, under Baker County, it says on part B, paragraph 3A or 3, Baker County will ensure that St. Alphonsus Medical Center understands and adheres to the following responsibility. How are we going to ensure that they do that? Do we have an agreement with?
We've been in contact with them, or more specifically, Whiten's office has been in contact with them, and they are open to this SWAT team coming in.
They're open to it,
Yes,
but
they're.
why are
able-
we ensuring that they're going to do that? How are we going to do that
Yeah,
if they choose not to?
Sounds like Kathleen has the answer.
Yeah. So Bruce, Senator Wyden had a conversation yesterday morning at 8 o'clock with the CEO of Trinity Health Systems, as well as all the senior leadership staff. He had already tasked them with making sure that was available, that all the non-proprietary documents, that they'd be able to talk to OB and ER staff, et cetera. So that was unequivocal. They will make that access available. If Baker and also I've been tasked by the senator, Courtney Warner Kroll with the governor's office will also be available, and we will help make sure that any of those things that could come up in terms of HHS or whatever, we will be there every step of the way to make sure that people follow through. So I think technically the contract's between Baker and HHS, and that's why it comes across that way.
And the current birthing facility this will be in use, the current birthing facility at St. Alphonsus, or are they coming in? I mean,
So what they're going to do is they've been charged, HHS was charged by the senator with having a safety plan by August 31st. So as soon as the documents signed and everything is in place, we're expecting that they can show up within 24 to 48 hours. And they will immediately want to be talking with everybody in the community. I would just be, they're going to want to access the hospital. They're going to want to see the protocols. They're going to want to see the staffing. They're going to want to see how things work. I think the work that Megan and Jason have been doing in terms of, safety plans, transportation, et cetera, will be really super important. All the work in the county will be super important. I mean, it just will be, without question, they will need the local expertise to help come up with step 1 emergency plan. And then of course, alongside of that, they'll be looking at what do we do longer term.
sure, but the birthing center will stay open or not? We don't
Can't
know that.
guarantee that. I think we're probably still set for the.
Is it
20th.
open now?
If up until the 26th.
Up until the 26th, so we don't know if they're gonna extend it. Do we know if it's still intact? I mean,
It
if
is.
it is open right now, it's still intact?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, so three things that the senator went over in the conversation yesterday with the Trinity CEO. The first one was access and making sure that HHS staff could visit with, get access to all the information, resources, and people to look at what's happening on the ground. The second thing was to ensure that the OB equipment, much of which I understand the community paid for, would not be sold off in a fire sale. I think the senator says sold off for parts. So they agreed that they would work with they're saying that some of this equipment is essential to the hospital and doesn't really go with the child birthing center. And so that will be something they will work on with HHS. The third issue that we brought up was schedules and salaries for the existing OB nurses. We had been hearing reports that some of the existing OB nurses were having a tough time getting shifts since they started bringing in the traveling nurses. And that lurching from, okay, maybe we'll have a week here, or maybe we'll have a month here, created so much instability and uncertainty that it's very difficult to support them. The other issue that hospital administration was, they said they couldn't get any OB nurses, and we've been talking to some of the nurses and had some sense that there were probably 4 who would be willing to stay on. But I think there was some real miscommunication between, at least for me, and I think for Shane, there were some real startling differences in the communications that we got from St. Alphonsus and the communications we had with the nurses in the nurses union. So having these independent health experts who can actually look at, okay, what is the best practice for birthing centers? What should we be doing? And how can we make sure that everybody's safe? I think Christina will be incredibly helpful.
Okay.
And I wish we had, the senator, none of your federal or state elected officials would have said, oh yeah, we're going to send in a SWAT team and do this thing. Had, part of the issue is the senator got that letter from St. Alphonsus last week that essentially said, well, if you do this impossible thing and maybe you do backflips while you do it, then we may consider staying open for 6 months. And so there was some real concern that we were going to lose time and be August 27th, have no plan, and and not have the support for the community. So I hope that's helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just so dang sad and frustrating.
Yeah, go ahead and.
I can take it for you.
Okay.
By the way, those are the cutest hiccups ever.
Much easier to write when you have 2 arms. Okay. So from my understanding, this agreement is just providing a needs analysis. It's not actually extending the birth center as of right now. The needs analysis will then provide an opportunity for the potential of the 3 extra nurses that St. Alphonsus is saying they require, or no?
I'm not really sure how to answer that until I get the people on the ground and get some assessments.
Okay,
I
so
mean, I would love to see-
baseline
I would
needs
love to see
analysis.
that happen.
Okay.
I mean, I'm definitely open if they come in and say, this is a mistake, you need to keep this open, and this is how we can do it.
And are they only there, are they there for the 30 days or up to 30 days?
Up to,
Up to
if
30
they're not
days.
needed, then they'll
Yeah.
go away.
Okay, so the 15 births that are slated for September are not being taken into consideration here, or they are?
Then be a question to the
To them.
hospital, and
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, Kathleen, did you have something?
Yeah, so having and this was one of the assurances that Senator Wyden wanted, having these people on the ground, if there's a recommendation from them, they can bring out nurses.
Perfect.
The issue is just the fact that there hasn't been a really clear and coherent understanding of what the actual needs are and how you do this.
Right. Okay, perfect, because St. Alice has been moving the goalpost every week. So let's see. So 75,000 is coming out of the 150,000. It's not additional.
It's not additional. It's part of that contingency. Yeah.
Perfect. And okay, that was all my questions.
All right.
Thank you.
While we're at it, anybody else did want to speak on this subject? No? Anybody online? Do they have comment? Okay.
So you want a motion?
Yeah, if we're ready for that.
If we are. So I'll make a motion that we approve. There still has to be a couple little changes yet,
Yeah.
and this will be signed by Mr. Alderson.
Out of session.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum of agreement with Department of Health and Human Services and authorize Commissioner Alderson to sign the agreement out of session.
Second.
Any further discussion? Shelley? No, go ahead, because people,
People online can hear you through the speaker.
yeah.
I've never been to a commissioner meeting before, so sorry if I'm not doing it right.
So you just have to state your name.
I'm Shelley Payton, birth and postpartum doula in Baker City. I was just wondering if there'd been any confirmation from either ODOT or OSP that St. Alphonsus's transportation plan during the winter was even approved by them. I personally reached out to OSP and asked for comment, and it's been a week and I haven't received anything. Haven't heard anything from ODOT either.
I have heard, I guess what you'd say, just, rumor about this, but I haven't heard an official report on it. Jason, sorry to put you on the spot. Have you?
So if the road is closed, it's typically closed due to a crash on other areas. So we were making arrangements to either go to Brand or go to Ontario, either one that is usually open. ODOT has been very good about when we submit a request via Op Center to the state to try and get that route opened. But if it's closed, it's going to be closed. And, air
Right.
is, during that time, probably not. So that's where all the
Right.
training out here is going to try and do the in-house emergency stuff at the emergency room.
Gotcha.
But they're, talking to local dot, they're gonna try and do all they can to let us through with that stuff. If an
Okay.
emergency is, to get that ambulance going, especially on the ground, and work with Metro West to try and get an additional staff at the back, because you don't have one patient at the back, you have two.
Right.
Right.
So instead of having the two little staff, they'd have three people in an ambulance trying to go.
Okay. Yeah, what I was told was that St. Al's plan was a police escort behind a snowplow from ODOT, which, I mean, I don't have any statistics, but I don't think snowplows go very fast. So,
Well, do you get there or you don't get there?
right,
Based on those needs.
Right.
Be that thing. And like I said, where there's closures, it's not always between like Baker and LeGrand that closure happens. We get closed because of truck traffic, right? Like
Right.
now they are letting people come to Baker that have that resident, like you show your license, but in
Sure.
Athens, you kind of get that for treatment of, okay, the road is open between Baker and LeGrand. We're closing it due to truck traffic and this type of stuff because of
Okay.
the closure, like on Cabbage or something like that. So there's oftentimes that the road is drivable between here and LeGrand
okay.
during road closures.
So I think what I missed then is that I was told that it would be, like the laboring person in a car behind a snowplow and behind police officers. You're saying it would most likely be an ambulance, because I was concerned because I'm pretty sure I've probably seen more car births as a doula than OSP or
Right.
ODOT. So yeah, so it'll be an ambulance. So
I
You
guess if
think?
that patient decides to go POV, they would have that choice to go POV.
okay,
So,
Huh.
but I would say in that scenario, if there's that emergency, the hospital is gonna say, get a hold of the transportation being air or ground, whatever option is available at that time.
okay.
I do have a follow-up question. I'm
just gonna speak really loudly and hopefully you guys can hear.
Yeah,
me.
that's why I'm.
Yeah. Perfect. Are any of, do you know, are any of the Metro West ambulances four-wheel drive or are they all two-wheel drive?
They do have a four-wheel drive.
Okay, I think that was it. I just want a clarification about
Yeah,
that. There been
and I-
any
And I
confirmation?
think what Jason had said is key. If resources are available, when we had several years ago, the big MCI, there was a patient here at the hospital that they were trying to transport and wasn't, for whatever reason, not available to go by air. And it took, I think, a couple of days to kind of figure out a snow plow and an ambulance. And
We've only had one time ever that the hospital called me and said, we need to get a patient to Boise. And
Right.
They had heard the roads were closed and the road was open here eastbound. Westbound was closed and then eastbound coming to Baker was closed, but that was one, I actually put it in and they, then I called it up. It's like, oh, no, you can go eastbound. You're good now. So, I mean, that's all this time. That's the only time I've ever been contacted by a hospital to get somebody that way. And we got kind of that ball rolling and then it was, oh, no. So,
My father-in-law said someone he was his insurance for however many years, but 25 years, like they hardly ever.
it's just that one time that I know of. So, any further discussion? All right, seeing none. We do have a motion and a second.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries.
Kathleen, I'm sorry I couldn't get with you yesterday. So it was nonstop until about 8 last night. So thank you.
I was so tired yesterday. I had like grandkids till 11 o'clock the night before. So I wasn't worth much. I'll just put it that way. We'll catch up another day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kathleen, thank you for everything. All right.
Can I say really quickly, I just really appreciate this community so much. And I know Ron does. All the work that everybody is putting into this is extraordinary. And getting anything moving forward would not have been possible without all your leadership and your commitment. So, and especially, I think, I
And
really,
yours as well, Kathleen.
pardon?
I said, and yours as well, your commitment to this too. We really appreciate it.
I gotta tell you, I've been going back to my own births and kind of thinking about them. And I've been thinking about what my daughter's births. And so you've all been very much in my heart. And so I think I'll be showing up next week. You'll be stuck with me for a while. And so anybody who wants to have coffee, they could just, send me a text message and I'll show up.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again.
Of course, bye-bye.
All right, I'll now close contract review board. Next up, museum artifact announcement.
At 9:45 already.
It is somewhere.
Time flies, doesn't it? I think that we're not even going to sit down because this is news worth standing about. We just wanted to announce that we have finally, after a year of really hard work, we have accepted on behalf of the county and for the museum, the Armstrong Nugget as a donation from US Bank. So tentatively by next spring, we should have an entire new exhibit built around that. So
that's
we're really
fantastic.
excited.
Not only the Armstrong Nugget, but
The entire
whole
collection.
that the US
Yeah.
Bank had
Yeah,
over-
which was actually quite a large collection. We even got the really cool old scales. and
Oh,
stuff.
good. Good. I'm glad.
And so you've been in contact with our insurance and all that stuff
Mhm.
for
The insurance, and we, went through Kim and reviewed all of that. And so everything is in place. It's, we have picked it up and it is in a safe and secure location until the time we have a safe and secure exhibit.
So budget wise for that safe and secure exhibit,
Yeah, it's in there.
it's in there.
It's in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Because like I say, we've been planning for over a year, so it was just a whole lot of hoops to jump through legally.
Sure, I can imagine.
And it was a big deal for the bank. I mean, that nugget has been in the bank since 1913.
Why are they not keeping it?
They just didn't have the staff to tell the story. I mean, it is a big deal. They would have busloads of people showing up and coming into their bank to see it. Which, I mean, if you've been in a US bank right now, they have 3-4 staff at a time possibly. And they didn't feel like they were doing it justice anymore. And their case was, breaking, so the security of it was not a thing, and they weren't going to throw money into. They just figured it was better to not leave the county, but to have a safer home.
I'd rather have busloads of people coming to. our
Absolutely,
museum.
that's what I said too.
Are they basing the value of all of that off of the weight and the current gold rate, or? do they
That's part of
value
it. So
as
Tabor
historic?
Clark went through and did the value of the entire collection. So it was off of weight and it was off of historical value when they
Okay.
came to the total.
Okay.
Any more questions?
It was an interesting assessment.
Yeah,
Tabor on one side of the column did it based solely on the spot price of gold at a given day.
Right.
Okay.
So all the material in there was separately assessed at a spot price. It's very difficult then to take something that is of historical value that doesn't come up on the auction market
Right.
to apply any kind of a value that you can hang your hat on for insurance purposes. For instance, some of those kinds of things over the years have gone for 2, 3, 5 times what the spot value was. So there really isn't a mechanism to assign a good value for insurance purposes.
Right.
So the insurance folks and us worked that out where it was the spot.
Okay. And can you say what that is, or is that going to be kept a secret on the value?
I don't think it would be the best interest right now to say what the
Right.
value is.
we can share that with you
Just wanna
guys.
announce that it's going to be on display, and it's a wonderful thing that you guys, a good thing you guys need to announce is.
Right.
Yeah.
This is positive.
Yeah, we're really excited.
So thank you guys for accepting this on behalf of the county, and because I think it's extremely important to Baker County.
It is.
And by moving it out of the US Bank and putting it in the museum, like you said, will bring busloads of
It will.
people to the museum and to the park, the downtown area,
Mhm.
and it's going to benefit Baker County, not just Baker City, but
Right.
it'll benefit the county big time.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
major economic development driver, I think.
Yep, I think so too.
And we'll thank county council
Yeah.
Mhm.
for work with the bank's lawyers and the
I think when I ran for this position, people had asked me, will you support the museum? And, and what do you think about the funding that goes to it? And I said all along that our museums and our information that preserves our heritage and our history and our culture. And you guys have done a very good job in securing that. And that is a big part of our story. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's a fun job.
I appreciate your work, and I'm very happy that that'll be retained in Baker County.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. I will now open a public hearing for order number 2023-141, renaming Second Street in the New Bridge Town Site to Lucille Drive. Public hearing is now open.
So what you have before you is a road name change up in New Bridge, Oregon, in the New Bridge area of what is currently named Second Street. It was platted that way as part of the town site, the original town site. There has been a public request for a name change to Lucille Lane, but due to our ordinance, our renaming ordinance, our road ordinance, it has to be Lucille Drive. So the
Oh.
subtype has to be, the street
Oh, I
type has to be drive. If it's over 1,000 feet in length, it could be a lane, but it can't be because it's 340 feet. So and I think Michelle Paulson is the applicant who put this in. It was not driven by the county, it was driven by the public to make a road name change to reflect a historical figure in that, in the New Bridge area.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. So it said something about a fee and said the fee was or was it?
Is there,
How much would a fee be for something like this? Is it based on the length of the road or how many signs you have to make?
There's a base fee for a road name change of, I believe it's $400.
Okay.
It's for, I guess it's for the administrative portion of it and the signage.
okay,
And
paid by Paulson?
it, let me see.
Some of the people anyway.
Or.
Yes, it was, yes,
or
it was,
Michelle
the
Paulson
fee
and her-
collected was 400, paid by the applicant, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
If we're driving it, then that normally isn't the case. That wouldn't be the case like in the last one we did on camera.
So I'm good with this as well. And, so we just go ahead and make the motion because we don't need a second hearing on this, right?
Right, because it's a public hearing, you should probably look for some public testimony.
Oh, right. So we can go to public testimony now. Anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this name change? Does anyone want to speak against? All right, seeing none and no further discussion, I think we're ready for a motion and then
I'll make a motion that we change the currently platted road name Second Street within the New Bridge town site from Second Street to Lucille Drive.
order number,
Order number, oh, great,
it's on the green sheet.
on the green sheet, 2023-141, renaming Second Street in New Bridge town site to Lucille Drive.
Second,
have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Lucille Drive it is. Public hearings now closed. Thank you, guys. Last,
I love their historic mural fence too, that was in
Yeah.
the paper. That's so cute. Thank you.
Thank you.
all right. Documents to be signed, appointing Matthew Copenhaver to the Transient Lodging Tax Committee.
And we're, I know that there's different like business owners and the different people that have to be in there.
Mhm.
Which does he come in? from?
At large.
He's at large.
That's correct.
You are at large.
Yeah. He is often at large upon the public. To be fair, even when I was on city council and attached to the transient lodging tax, I had Matthew do a lot of research for me, and I've said all along that he ought to be on the thing. So, I mean, he's doing the work anyway, so. We might as well make it official.
Yeah, I would say that he actually promotes
Yeah.
tourism where
Yeah.
where he's at, so.
No, wait a minute, we're not gonna pay him. He's not that.
Right, right, no, it's a good fit. I'll make a motion for order number 2023-142, appointing Matthew Copenhaver to the Transient Lodging Tax Committee for a term to expire 8/1/2025.
Okay, I withdraw my motion and I'll second your
Oh,
motion.
Did you make a
made a
motion?
I did.
No, you didn't.
I started reading it and you said, what about the order number? And so we got off track and so it was,
No, I said that about the last one on Lucille Drive, the order number. You
Really?
Needed to read off of the green.
okay, I'm thinking of something else.
I'm sorry.
We're almost done.
Jeez. I've had a rough night too.
Too much mowing yesterday.
You're
I
right.
told you it was a
Yeah.
bad idea.
It's too
That's why I
hot.
didn't do it.
Our neighbor was mowing at 9 and 10 o'clock last night.
Well,
That's about where I would have had to start, and I just didn't want to. Anyway,
Anyway.
I guess
Yeah.
it's a no.
I'll
Sorry,
still
Matt.
second your motion.
Looks like it's still gonna take a long time. Is that a motion and a second?
Yes.
Okay.
No more discussion
I
by
just-
from me.
I hate to ask this. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're in. Go. Oh. Transit with the lodging committee. What else do we have left?
Ratification of documents.
Yeah, I don't think we have any.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
Fairlawn Consulting Agreement for. broadband
That's
services.
right.
Yep, yep.
We do. And somebody should explain that because they kind of snuck up on us here. However, the financial reports are not ready yet.
So I can talk about the Fairlawn agreement. So this agreement with Fairlawn would be to, we're hiring them to do pre-planning services, basically help us figure out what we don't know, what we need to know related to broadband services and getting grants to help expand that infrastructure to those that aren't being served, or maybe they're just not quite up to speed to where the government wants to see that. So Sarah Haynes with Fairlawn is going to help us sort through that. We're trying to get a broadband action team put together. We're currently scheduled for a meeting, I think it's next week, to meet with some of the providers in the area and talk about what they're doing and what we can do to help them, or so that we're not duplicating services. And if we need to be an applicant going forward, or if they're doing that, but
Okay.
anyways, so this agreement is just to hire her to help us pull all of that together and see where it takes us from there. And so it's an agreement for less than 5,000. Just for this interim beginning step.
Okay.
Did Raleigh contact you?
Who?
Raleigh Network for broadband?
Not me. You?
Not me, but
They're at a halfway.
are they on the list?
Who is it again?
Raleigh Network,
Raleigh?
they've got an office in Halfway and,
Huh.
okay.
I haven't heard of them, but we can.
They used
certainly
to be
reach out.
OT Connections. They've got the office that where the old Blockbuster used to be, was
Oh, yeah.
OT Connections. And then Raleigh bought them out a little over a year ago. And then they contacted me and I said, please contact, I told them to contact you.
Okay.
Because I knew that you were
Heard
on the
it, but,
broadband.
yeah.
Okay, I know they've got an office here in Baker City. They have one in Halfway. And I see that their notices out for broadband, Granite and various places that,
Okay, so.
and
if-
Richland Halfway area.
If we
and all
haven't
those sorts of
invited
stuff.
them, we will.
Yeah, please look at them. If you need their information, I can get that to
Can
you.
you
I
just go
thought
ahead
that,
and send that?
yeah, I thought he
to-
would have.
And before I forget, I was in economic development last night, along with, and I had mentioned that we're going through this, and that we would be hiring a person to do broadband. And Aaron Lair and Tucker Billman both requested that when we're going forward with it, that they kept, yeah,
Sure.
Which makes sense.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I talked to Tucker last night and told him that we do have a broadband deal, and I didn't understand originally that Tracy, Kim's wife, husband, was the head of the broadband
OTEC.
deal at OTEC.
At OTEC.
And so he's invited to
Oh,
the
good.
meeting also.
Okay.
So that's a huge step for us.
Okay,
In the right direction. So we've got some pretty good people.
Oh,
there.
that's right.
and then
Yeah.
during the OTEC summit, then that's one that I definitely will be sitting in on and gathering information for you guys. And
Yeah.
Aaron, you have been out for a little bit, but I had mentioned that maybe you go up to the OTEC summit with me. And we
Oh,
can
that's
gather whatever information we can. I don't know if you're gonna be available, but there's so many, and a lot of times there's breakout several sessions at the same time where you couldn't get to everything, so.
And it is really neat. I would like you to go.
So while we're talking about this and the Anthony Lakes deal, so that's on a Wednesday. It's an all-day deal, and that's commission session day. We can just skip it. Can we not? And maybe have a special session if there's something special.
Maybe we should touch on that in our calendar updates or something like
Okay,
that,
that'd be
and then we
fine.
can just
Yeah.
get through this approval here,
Okay,
so.
Do we need a motion to approve? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, we do.
ratify your signature.
Ratify it, yeah.
It is a ratification. I approve to ratify the Farallon Consulting Agreement for broadband services. Pre-planning services. Not to exceed 5,000 for the county to identify broadband services project using LATSI funds. Those kind of random, but-
Ratify my signature. on the agreement.
Over here, over there. Yeah.
Okay.
You got to second it.
Oh, that's right. I second.
And now I get to vote.
That's right. All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Commissioner update.
Do you want to carry on with that?
Yeah, so on the 20th of August. September, excuse me, I will be traveling to Falls that day. And the OTEC summit is up at Anthony Lakes that day as an all-day deal.
And Chair Alderson will be in Boise
I will probably be with child,
or the next day, so either way.
if not sooner.
So yeah, we can either reschedule it to a different day if we have business.
That's what I'm saying. 'Cause I
And if
think
we don't have business, we can just postpone it until,
Okay.
October, our normal session.
So at this point,
Cancel it.
just say postpone unless we need to schedule in a.
Yeah, so
Separate.
we can see, we can let department heads know that if they have any business to try and get it on for the 6th.
Okay,
And to let us know if there's anything urgent. We can look at doing something
Okay.
either later in the week or earlier or that next week.
okay,
So if that happens, if we're gonna cancel it, we probably need to notice the paper and all that stuff too, right? To let them know that we're not having that, okay.
And we'll still be okay for our required amount of meetings through monthly or yearly.
I think we've done a few extras so far this year.
So that counts.
We don't have.
We don't have any shortage.
No, well, and there's no requirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
For whatever you guys need.
Okay.
Do you have any other?
Well, you've heard that in September, I'm going to that. Let's see. I went to the meeting last night with the DEQ and listened to many very upset people, and they were upset for very, very good reasons.
Yes, we had 90 in attendance.
Yeah, it was very beneficial, the things that were said, and I read through part of the information. not all of it though, so I learned a lot and talked to a few ranchers, and everybody pretty much felt the same, that the DEQ did not do a good job.
The
They
study was
didn't have
not
enough
thorough.
time. The study was probably inaccurate.
Yep.
And
And that was confirmed by 2 from OSU, 2
Yeah.
water professors.
right, right. So one thing I didn't say is I told a few people about the same type of study that was done, not for bacteria, but for temperature and those kind of things throughout the water basin.
Sure.
Or the powder basin. And other drainages around the state. The data that they started collecting some of these things is fairly new. But they're making decisions for what happened 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago. Like, oh, this is a problem all of the time.
Right.
And no, it's not.
And
Yeah.
OSU stated that it was data from 2007 and
Right,
2010.
right. And I thought, how can you say this without actual temperature measuring back in 1890 or 1910 or something like that?
Because it was based on bacteria only and not
Right,
temperature
right.
on this particular
So
one.
anyway, the person that was doing the testing for, it was through OSU, and said, we're building a database and we're starting. And she said, you're absolutely correct. This is not accurate for those historical times. And I said, well, I said, it's obvious about the temperature. I said, it has gotten warmer since I was a little boy. There's no question about it, because it used to snow all the time. We get 2 feet, 3 feet. Sometimes on the 4th of July, it might snow. And and over time, we had more open years in the valley here. And you can tell it's gotten warmer.
Well, and I have to clarify that OSU, the 2 speaking from OSU, were asked to do a third-party study by myself and by the
Well,
RAC.
to actually look into
Baker
yeah,
County. We asked for Dr. Ochoa and Derek to look at that as a third-party study, look at the data. Once we received it, then a couple days later, that's when we went out to the Willow Creek drainage, where they have a gauging station and have had that in place for around 4 or 5 years, and will continue to do that for about 10 years on that. They're also starting another one on Juniper Mountain. So they've got the really latest technology on it. It was an impressive day out there with Dr. Ochoa, and it was really, really gracious of him and his team to look at the study as a third party for us. And that's why they were there last night. And then today they're out at Willow Creek Drainage again. So
So one of the biggest things that I took away from that, and it was blatantly obvious anyway, the DEQ does not consult with any other of the state or federal agencies. They're in this mode all the time.
although on the Zoom and other meetings with them, they did have other agencies on there along with EPA. When they gave us the study results, the Zoom with the study results, EPA and other organizations were there. And that's why they wanted this public meeting on Zoom, so that their other groups could be on there. But then we pushed them to have it in person, and we said that their groups could be on Zoom then, and not us, not our community. And so that's, they have been involved, but they're all kind of, it seemed like on the same page. You know,
Okay.
there. So unfortunately, they have been, when we've been sitting here during the meetings, during this whole study, they have been there in the room.
Well, what was also interesting was Wade Simpson, the rancher,
Yes,
and saying the elk feeding station.
sure. He's up Old
You
Auburn.
know, and piles of manure there.
Yep.
Every single day.
Yep.
And it drains right into the
Sure.
watershed.
Yeah.
And so I think if you have bacteria here, you're also going to have the same amount down here, but should be more maybe.
But
Why would it be less?
the main
And-
takeaway was what is the source of the bacteria
Exactly.
and not to be
Yeah.
blaming it on the
Yeah.
agriculture and the cows in the stream.
Yeah.
And it was general bacteria. And so in order to fix the bacteria in the water or make the levels better, we have to identify what the bacteria comes from, and they won't do it. And my other problem with yesterday, and I said it at the end, is that they had a Q&A in the beginning of the meeting.
But no
And there
answers.
was questions galore, but it was good question.
No answers.
I don't know that answer, and we'll get back to you. If you'll just give us your name and contact, we'll get back to you. And that's what they have done with the rack the whole time since January. Good question. We'll get back to you. What happens if our community can't achieve those desirable levels? That's a good question. Don't worry about it. We'll get back to you. Why are you basing it off of human contact / recreation, getting it into your mouth and everything, when we know that the majority of the Powder River Basin is ag and not recreation? And we know that the worst gauging station was at the library, even though they still refer to it as Highway 7 gauging station was the highest. That's actually the gauging station at the library, urban influence. So, but they still said the gap is 40 to 95% agriculture for the cause.
Most
So-
of the year we're fine. Except part of the year. we're
And
not.
then the other thing is the August 31st deadline, which the RAC is still going to keep pushing them for a longer deadline because that's not long enough for proper comments and going through the 3-inch thick.
So I really appreciate
Study.
your efforts getting the DEQ here in Baker.
Thank
for
you.
that.
And this community showed up,
And
90
there was
people.
no question they would because of what it was about.
The implications to the
And-
agriculture
and,
community.
Yeah,
yes.
and the ones that actually knew about this spread the word
Yep.
pretty
Yep.
well, I think.
Yeah.
And I was actually a little surprised. We sat there, I thought it was going to start at 5 o'clock. And
The
took
DEQ
quite
pushed
a long
it to
time.
DEQ, so we said 5 o'clock, DEQ pushed it to 5:30 for their teams on Zoom. That's
Okay.
what happened.
Okay.
And that's why it took that long. When I walked in and I saw the formation of just the chairs and the tables around there, I said, no, it's not gonna
That's what I
work.
was thinking.
And we filled in the whole thing, the whole room.
But they just
so-
kept trickling in.
They
for a
did,
long,
and
long
I
time.
just kept on counting. And yeah, so we were right at 90. So it was a good turnout, and we will continue that RAC and our National Resource Committee and all of us will continue to gauge this and push for a longer deadline. And I just urge everybody to go on there and get the comments, and I will be blasting out the link to for the comments.
Okay.
And thank you, Aaron, for putting out the word. People were saying that they heard it on the radio and they don't usually listen to the radio.
So thank you for helping me out with my report.
Just because
I
I
know.
kind of put together the whole thing.
It's okay. So let's see. There was an AOC membership committee meeting on the 7th of, which was a Monday. And it was all of 15 minutes long.
And they're gonna kick me out.
No, because you're not part of the committee.
Oh, I mean, the AOC.
Oh, well, maybe so. Who knows? Yeah. So anyway, there's a TLT meeting tomorrow. I'm going to go to that and just sit there and listen.
Okay.
Because I'd like to hear what they're doing, what they're thinking, what's coming up. And I don't know whether you're going to be there or not.
Probably.
If you're there, that's fine. I won't say anything. If you're not there, I might say something to, I might engage in the conversation then.
What time is that?
9 o'clock, I think.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I
Am I
think
right?
it's- I think it's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's still can. I'm not, I just.
Well, it's a public meeting anyway.
Right. And it's,
But,
yeah, I mean, it's advertised.
yeah, okay.
And I'm not a voting member. I just get a member, so.
There is on Sunday, there's a Veterans Appreciation Day at the Baker City Golf Course.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a veteran. I got a hold of my brother-in-law and he had a veteran's hat, so I borrowed the hat. And I'm gonna go up and make an appearance.
Okay.
Because Peter Johnson said it'd be good if
Yeah.
one or all of you show up, you know, to at least make an appearance, and so I will do that.
So
Thank
we're
you.
sending the one who was a veteran at King Golf.
And like, I
We
King
don't know
Golf
about the
not
second
well
part.
though. So they they're also having a free lunch, so. Yeah, so there was
How do you
extra
stay so skinny?
extra incentive there. So, okay, and then on the 22nd, I have in the New Directions meeting at 7 a.m. that morning. And I don't have anything else written down. I'm sure there's something else that's going to fill up some of that week. So let's see.
Oh, gosh, since, so I have a couple of updates. I had a big win on, besides last night's meeting. On Friday, I received notice from ODF and W that they rescinded the travel management area closures that are listed in the current synopsis for this hunting season. And because they did not follow proper procedure for enforcement with the Willow-Whitman National Forest, they rescinded the enforcement and placement of the TMAs. They said that they will be deciding again in September, and I have asked for more things. I have actually asked for more information on past TMAs and to make sure that those went through the proper procedure for enforcement as well, because I actually have information that may contradict that. So I want proof, but that was a big win for us. So if you have tags, if you have a traditional hunt, you see in Baker County or the Willow-Whitman, actually outside of the county, on the Willow-Whitman, if you see that there's a new closure and it's in your hunt area, it probably is one of those and will not have enforcement on it. So you know, go where you traditionally go.
Even if I don't have a tag for that area, okay?
No,
No?
And we talked about the cancellation of the 20th of September and the OTEC summit. And so I went out to Halfway on last Thursday. Donnie Brulin and I went out there, and we Bishop Springs, did some stuff out there and went down to the parks. Had to do some work down there, went out to Fizz Springs, which is 200 acres that the county owns up above Richland. And it's past 200 acres. 200 acres. No, well, the spring is right there, but we own 200 acres. So it's up above New Bridge, above of Eagle Fork Campground, and it's beyond that. And so we went up, checked it out. It's in bad condition, but we have Title II, NRAC Title II funds that are available that we're going to try to put in for, because that has to be on or adjacent to forest land for the projects to work for that fund.
and it is.
And that is perfect.
Yeah.
It's in within.
Mhm.
That's what the judge talks about once in a while.
Yes,
right?
that's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
and he's urging us,
Oh,
Kearns
to do
You
that.
you guys sat down, right?
yeah.
Okay,
And
good.
so he's urging us to actually put in for that and use some of those funds.
Yep.
And I have photos, if you'd like me to share them with you, I can send them to Aaron.
Yeah.
And it shows that the fence is down, cows are in, trees took out the fence, and then the cows continue to take out the fence, and there's, it's just stinky, it's horrible. The water's still coming out. There's two tanks, there's an upper tank and a lower tank. The upper tank is blocked by something that's not allowing the water to flow down to the lower tank. So there is some repair through there and riparian that the cows have just mashed up. And it would be a really great spot for a day use, for family use, for
Sure.
dry camping.
Don't tell the DEQ.
Yeah. So, and then it also needs a little sign out on the forest road that's saying that it's up there, because it's just randomly, you're just driving above Eagle Fork Campground, and Donnie says it's up here somewhere.
Okay.
And once we got there, she identified it, but it's a great spot. I
Okay.
did have a little bit of the water, I spit it out. It is carbonated. It is carbonated. So
Does it have crypto in it?
We'll find out in a couple days.
I'm fine.
Does it have E. coli in it?
I'm fine.
Does it have E. coli in it? Like
Yeah.
last night,
Yeah,
It's
no,
health
I'm
water.
fine.
It's a great weight loss program.
So we went up to Fifth Springs, so that is a project that I'm looking at. I think it would really, I mean, it's a great spot. There's history. There's a sign up there saying that back to Native Americans, it was medicinal use and so it's just, it's a really great spot and we should really not, it was, I don't know why it was abandoned or let go or was it ignored, but I think it's time to look at it again. And especially with those NRAC
It
funds.
sounds like you could do a dispersed campground.
We could do a dispersed campground, just a dry camp. It would be really nice if we could get a grant for a vault toilet then at that point, if we do that, so that we don't have the problem, because we all know that outhouse is not gonna last in an area like that.
Right.
It's up there a ways, so.
Okay.
So yeah, so we left that, went back down, headed over to Halfway to the kiosk that the county owns before Halfway. So it's on the right, you drop down off the hill and it says Information House Canyon Byway. And it's a kiosk and there's a picnic table and everything. It's super clean. The Hells Canyon Chamber has been taking care of it. Bill Shuley and Becky Kahn and all of them. I don't think that they realized that it was county owned, that we own that corner.
Well, I wondered about that the other day.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
So we made, tomorrow I'm having lunch with Becky Kahn and we suggested a few things. They just need a little sprucing up here and there.
I
But,
had lunch with Becky Conn yesterday.
okay, well, I'll have lunch with her tomorrow.
Not on purpose. We were sitting next to it, Sweet Wife yesterday.
So we're gonna look at that and see if there's any needs or wants from the Hells Canyon Chamber. And then again, that would be another funding grant, or whatever, the grant funding, if they want anything. And one thing that they did mention is maybe another picnic table and maybe a vault toilet there. There isn't a problem so far with toilet paper or garbage or
Okay.
anything so far.
So they're maintaining.
Somebody is. I mean, the grass is natural.
Right.
The flowers are naturally coming up. There's sunflowers and things like that. It's just cute as a button. But some of the things that they have done, the Hells Canyon Chamber has done.
Okay.
And Bill Shuley has done it with his own. He's a graphic designer, and so he's done it with his own graphic design, like the pole that has a little directional.
Okay.
This far to there, and
Well, we had so how big a piece of property is this?
it's a pretty good, so the first entrance goes to the Forest Service Ranger
Yeah.
Station. So that borders the one side. Then there's a little bridge that goes over, because there's a little ditch that runs between the highway and there. So that's our other border. So from the road to that little bridge, and then it goes back, just kind of straight back, and forms a triangle. It goes over, there's a property right behind it with a shop, and there's a driveway, and it goes to that driveway.
Okay.
So I overlaid Onyx when we were there and everything, and it's pretty clear where it is, but it is that whole corner.
Figure out like a MOU or something.
Yeah,
How's that?
that
If they could continue on, that
yeah,
would be fantastic. So
Yeah.
I'm not tying up.
we just wanted them to be, they were not aware that it's actually a county facility. But they're doing a great job. So I'll meet with her tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we had a few other meetings around town, and then we went to an open house in Halfway for the Walla Whitman National Forest and the Clarks Creek project.
Mhm.
And I do have a copy here if you would like me to give you a copy of it. It's 43,000 acre project, and it's all for thinning and fire reduction, fuels reduction. And then they will do a buffer along. So here's here's Halfway, and Cornucopia is up here. So it's that face from, say, Pine Creek over, and then there's a buffer along here that they're gonna thin for fire reduction as well
Okay.
when they're done with it.
Good.
So it sounded like a really positive. There is merchantable timber coming off of it, and so there was quite a few people that were there. And yeah, so if you want this information, I can have Aaron copy it
Yeah.
and put it in your That's why I brought this
I
up.
think we got a Clark's Creek update for the Forest Service, but
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was a 12-hour day out there. And I took the Commissioner Cherokee and it ran like a gem. And so hopefully facilities is gonna go through it and clean it because we had toilet paper in there for the parks and for Bishop Springs. So we just used that to do the inside of the windows so we could see through them.
I gave it an initial going over, but yeah, it could use a little more.
It needs some TLC, but it ran just fine and it worked just fine. And Shaylin is gonna start a book on it and we have a fuel card
Good.
designated to it now. It won't be in the general pool. I think we're keeping it within the commission.
Yeah, I think so.
So, but it was really nice to have that and be able to go to Fifth Springs and around and, you know, not have one of the little
How many
cars.
huckleberries did you pick on the way?
None, but a few weeks ago I got 3 gallons, so I didn't really need to pick anymore. I didn't want to pick anymore. For 1 week, every time I closed my eyes, I saw huckleberries.
Oh,
So
your hands on purple.
I know, right? They finally faded out. I've met with Jessica Keys several times with Merkley's office, and we just have run down through just a whole bunch of natural resources this morning at 7:30. I had coffee with the natural resource supervisor in Merkley's office from Washington DC. She's here in Oregon making her rounds, and they were headed to LeGrand this morning. Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I.
Yeah, she didn't give it, no, she didn't.
She's that new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that new. So she's just making her
Okay.
her rounds
Yeah.
around there through natural resources. She doesn't take care of all natural resources like water issues, DEQ or EPA,
So she's smart.
but she does oversee like Klamath water issues. Basic. But then she's a lot of wildlife and endangered species and things like that.
Okay.
So we did cover a few topics this morning. I did go up to Elora or up to Quail Ridge. I met with Peter and Chelsea from Elora and some other business owners, chamber, Jessica Hobson. That was on Tuesday. Is today Wednesday? That was yesterday. That was yesterday. And they talked about some of the things in the TLT ordinance, just like we have seen. And so it'll be interesting to see tomorrow morning. That's why I'm thinking I may be there because there wasn't a lot of talk about the percentage, the 7 to 9%. But there was talk about using funds for tourist related facilities and not
Projects, yeah.
just promotional,
Exactly.
which I am in favor of.
And I'm 100% in favor. of
I'm
it,
in
and,
favor of it. I just want, legal clarification.
Right. And so,
Follow the law.
yeah, so there was an ask that if we had anything that pertains to tourism related that we could see as potential TLT funding, then to make a list. And so I do have some lists like back
we
then
could-
at the kiosk or Fifth Springs or.
Yeah, any kind of those things, I think if it's tourism related, and I think that's the key, if it's related.
Exactly.
Everything is tourism related
Yeah,
in this county.
the
It
road,
is.
the road into Fifth Springs, when it comes off of the main road, the road into it, if we could get that leveled a little bit and cleaned up, then that would be something that does pertain to it per NORS that we read during the meeting. It could be the road up to it, it could be the facility itself, stuff like that. There was an ask that could it be given to, say, the lodging facilities for New Linens and things like that, and it was a pretty loud no.
I would say no. on that
Because-
as well.
because-
That's part of their business.
That's part of their business. So that was, it was a quick meeting. It was only, I think, 45 minutes or something like that. And then I had to get down for another meeting. Yeah. So, and then we had the TMDL coming up. I have lunch with Becky tomorrow. Tomorrow night is Lao Women National Forest Open House to kick off the Blue Mountain Forest Plan revision. And it's at the event center from 4 to 7 tomorrow night. So this is where we really need to start engaging. And this is where they check off their box saying, yeah, we did it. We engaged the public. So I feel like tomorrow night is going to be a pretty big turnout for that meeting from 4 to 7 at the event center. Monday night, I've been invited out to Keating Fire Station. And I think this was an invitation only. It's Western Landowners Alliance is going to be there. And there is a speaker from Wyoming on behalf of wolf depredation and program and things like that. And ODFW will also be out there. And the new guy with Wildlife Services is supposed to be there. And then Chris with Wildlife Services. And that's Monday night. So I will be there at 5 o'clock for that. And then we've got the ODFW sage grouse mapping. They're revising their maps that they have to do with the sage LIT in Morgan and with ODFW.
Good.
And so I will have a meeting when they present to me and the NRAC committee, myself and the NRAC committee on Wednesday. Then at the end of the month, we will have a public meeting on the 29th in here for that, so that the public can look at the grouse mapping. The 24th, I am attending from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. the emergency management preparedness class that I've just asked Jason about, and you have to sign up. Sign up was by the 13th. Today is the 16th. But they do have the minimum amount, so that will happen.
Oh, they did. Okay, good.
People can still sign up though, he just said.
Oh, okay.
So,
And
and
when
so
is it?
it's the 24th from 9 to 4 p.m. and I believe that's at the event center. So I think it is. And then I will be gone for 3 days because I have my 35th anniversary coming up on the 27th. But that'll be over a weekend. So
Congratulations.
thank you. And then the 29th, I will be attending the big meeting in Burns. I will be taking a car, not the Jeep, for that one.
Okay.
And then later on that night is I got to get back here for the sage grouse public meeting, the ODFW for the sage grouse. So that's supposed to
Burns
end.
and back
Yeah,
and,
it's supposed to end by 2, and then the other meeting starts at 5:30 here.
You'll make it.
Yeah, I'll make it. Yeah. And and then we have a commission session on the 6th. So I've got quite a few things going on. It's been pretty action packed.
Sounds like. I've pretty much, you've heard what I've been up to. Hospital. Went up to halfway and met with the city council up there, and we talked about everything from housing and city ordinances and transient lodging tax stuff.
We were there the same day, and I thought you were in Richland. I thought you were going to Richland. So
Well, no,
yeah, it was halfway.
following your, I was halfway there.
Stocking.
And yeah. What's that about?
That is a bad joke.
Yes, and so it was fun to go out. I haven't been able to do nearly as much of that, going out and meeting with different communities like I'd like to, but and then working on all of this hospital agreement stuff. I was kind of made aware of it before it dropped, this one thing that we just did, but just about a day before everybody else, and then it dropped, and then working on coordinating all of that. And I might be working on that tomorrow. If I'm stuck with that, I won't make TLT, but if I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're ganging up on them, so if I don't make it, we'll cover it okay.
Well, I'm glad that we agree mostly on that, really looking at that ordinance again. I think it's due. I think it's needed to take a look at it again and revise it and update it. And, if not just for that one purpose of how it's spent.
Well, yeah, and I've said since I was at the city and on the transient lodging tax committee, I'd like to see us do more with these dollars if it's legally okay. So
right.
I think it is.
I think it
Yeah.
is, but
The one thing I got asked, is somebody from the city asked, well, can we use this for ambulance service? And I said, well, conceptually, maybe so, because there is a lot of tourists that get in trouble and they have to use the ambulance. But I said, probably not. I said, I don't think the
Based off of the ORS that I read yesterday in that meeting, I don't think so.
and you might be right, because I did not read the ORSs for that.
I
but,
don't think I don't think so, but it almost
Exceptionally,
seems
it
like-
is used for tourism too, but that's not,
I mean,
It's not direct,
no. and I
I'd have to
agree
look
with that.
into it.
because it's tourist facilities would be direct.
And that makes some sense.
And the
Or
hospital hopefully
tourist
is not a
equipment
tourism
and stuff.
facility.
Yeah,
So I think
well, I don't know, with all the publicity, it's getting to be that way.
that's true. Not for what I'd like to get publicized. I think you, because part of that law states.
Mhm.
trying to think
I have it in
how-
paper form.
but Like,
I can just copy and give it to you when.
I can't think of the wording, but I think you could use it for like, search and rescue, one-time payment a year or something, because it's, it's to shore up tourism safety. And they deal with a lot of that. Matthew, what is the word I'm trying to think of?
Well, I know that. I know that it's 70%.
Facility and market.
30%, that's what ORS spells out. It's basically.
It's 5%
It kinda-
admin.
Yeah.
Kind of uses it for relevant, but it could be. Government, it could be for. Search and rescue, it could be. it's that-
Support, tourism support, I think is how that's written.
It's stated 25%
Yeah.
EDC, 5% admin on that last 30, 70% tourist.
The ORS.
related facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that breakdown has to stay.
Yes.
And so,
Right.
now they may, in the next couple of sessions, change that to free it up. Have a little more ability with it, but that's future and down the line, and I don't know. But I wouldn't be opposed to that. As long as it's not
Well,
crazy.
I don't know, as long as the tourist facilities are looked at
Right.
first.
So,
That's kind of sketch.
did economic development yesterday, probably transient lodging tax tomorrow. I have a tentative meeting with the city manager this afternoon.
Okay.
And then continue to work through organizing the HHS stuff. That's all for me.
Okay,
That everybody?
Yeah, so that's, the Klamath Falls was on the 20th is on a Wednesday, right? That's
Mhm.
the Anthony Lakes deal. So Klamath Falls doesn't start until the 21st.
right, but isn't it the morning of the 21st where you have to have some travel time?
No, it's a dinner that night.
Mm,
And since it's so far, you got to drive there anyway. And so,
Sure,
yeah. And because they do have a meeting the next morning on Friday.
okay,
And then I have a noon till 5 o'clock meeting on Saturday.
okay,
And that's for the ledge committee to go
Yeah.
over everything, yeah. And then so I'll be traveling back on that Sunday, the 24th. So since you'll be up there, maybe I can go up there.
sure.
Oh, sure. Okay. I mean, if we spring early, then maybe I'll get to go. But I'm not gonna
I
plan on
did
it.
talk to Tucker about that and he says, oh yeah, I understand. You know,
Mhm.
because I told him I was gonna be gone, gonna have to travel that day. Well, why not? So unless there's another reason, I don't have any at this point. So we might have to modify the vehicle deal. I may have told you the wrong dates or something.
I think we had it checked out. We can take a look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just think the Jeep. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
So you don't have anything till 3? Or- Out, huh?